It's important that you understand now the Muslim Brotherhood. We just talked about Hizb ut-Tahrir, and it wasn't created until 1953. It was founded by a member of the Egyptian Muslim Brotherhood. This is the group that is poised to take power in Egypt. Our administration says, no big deal. It's the what? It's no big deal. It's the Muslim Brotherhood. What could they do, right? You remember? National Intelligence, James Clapper, said it was a largely secular group. Largely secular. Here he is saying it.
The Muslim Brotherhood is prominent in what's going on now in Egypt and elsewhere in the Mideast. The term Muslim Brotherhood is an umbrella term for a variety of movements. In the case of Egypt, a very heterogeneous group, largely secular, which has eschewed violence and has decried al-Qaeda as a perversion of Islam.
Right. Sure they have. I don't clap on. This guy, I don't know if he's drunk or what. They also spend a great deal of time, I've heard, helping the elderly Jewish ladies cross busy intersections, volunteer, to take the kids to soccer. They deliver tasty baked goods with Francis Fox Piven. If you believe that, you also, no doubt, believe that billionaire Warren Buffett's secretary pays more in taxes than he does. That's not the truth. Here is the truth. The Muslim Brotherhood continues to spread evil in the Middle East, in Europe, and all over the world, including here in America. Their prevalence is huge. Tonight, we'll expose the history of the Muslim Brotherhood and show you the connections here. You need to understand the roots of this evil. The Muslim Brotherhood was founded in 1928 after the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, Turkey. They want to return to the precepts of the Quran and reject Western influences. In other words, nearly the exact opposite of what Mr. Clapper just said. The organization's motto is as follows. Allah is our objective, the Prophet is our leader, Quran is our law, Jihad is our way, dying in the way of Allah is our highest hope. Well, what could be more peaceful and candy and lollipop than that? I mean, really, seriously, let's just get started. Got our jammies on. Let's watch some old movies together. Dying for Allah. In 2004, Sheikh Yosef al-Qaradawi, the spiritual leader of the Muslim Brotherhood and the 9th most powerful Muslim in the world and still reaching for the stars, according to the Royal Islamic Studies Center at Georgetown University, issued a fatwa making it a religious obligation of Muslims to kill U.S. citizens and soldiers in Iraq. That and I think you have to get the holy water when you go in. That's it. Hatred of you, hatred of the West is at the core of this group's beliefs. The Brotherhood's founder, also Hassan al-Banna, was a devout admirer of... Yes, thank you. Hitler. Yeah, that's great, isn't it? Well, what could possibly go wrong here? During the 1930s, the Brotherhood became more political in nature and formed an official political group in 1939. Over the years, the organization provided military training to its followers and engaged in political terrorism against Egyptian Coptic Christians. Wait a minute. That's happening again now, isn't it? What could be more peaceful and secular than that? The Brotherhood spread throughout the Middle East. They established branches in Transjordan, Palestine, and Syria. Transjordan, Transjordan, well, that's now Jordan. Hey, that's where Sirhan came from. Nothing to see there, I'm sure. They also became increasingly violent. Egyptian members took violence against the government. They took action. They went after them. When the organization was then banned in Egypt, hundreds moved to Jordan. They fought in the Arab-Israeli War of 1948-1949. In 1948, a Muslim brother assassinated the Egyptian prime minister, and Brotherhood was once again banned. Founder Hassan al-Banna himself was killed by government agents in Cairo in February '49. In 1954, a Brotherhood member tried to assassinate the Egyptian president, and the group was outlawed again. More than 4,000 of its members were imprisoned. Too bad they didn't have gas chambers, I guess. 10 years later, they were legalized and all the prisoners were released. What could possibly go wrong? Sadat. Sadat came into power. He promised reforms. He said he would implement Sharia. Yeah, except then he did that whole peace treaty with Israel in 1979. The Brotherhood didn't like that, which led to his assassination, you guessed it, by the Muslim Brotherhood, 1981. They sound so peaceful now, don't they? Oh, I just want to cuddle with them. June 25th, 1980, the Syrian president declared Brotherhood membership a capital offense and sent the army against them. In the operation, which lasted until February 82, the Syrian army practically wiped out the Brotherhood but didn't get the job done. They killed a large number of people in the Hama massacre, and the Syrian branch disappeared. The survivors fled to join Islamic organizations in other countries. The Muslim Brotherhood is an organization so violent that has been literally banned at one time or another in virtually every country in which it has had a branch except for this one. They are responsible for assassinations, for murder, for terrorism. The group's stated goal is to unite Islam into a caliphate, and they are fully supported and they engage in jihad and try to make that a reality. Does that sound anything like the group that James Clapper and all of the clowns on both the left and the right said, they eschew violence, to stop panicking? He's the director of the National Intelligence Agency, and I don't think he has any. You need this information. And James, if you need it, I mean, I'd happy, you call me up. I'll debrief you. Oh, wait a minute, I just did. So you don't have to call me. Good. Now, why is this important? Because, as you no doubt remember, in June of this year, the Egyptian official news agency recognized the Muslim Brotherhood as a legitimate party for the first time since it was outlawed in 1954. Recognized now, you know what they call the Muslim Brotherhood now in Egypt? You're going to love this. Anybody know? The Peace and Justice Party. Oh, how very Jim Wallace. Oh, it's so great. Freedom and Justice, Tiffany, is that what it is?
Freedom and Justice.
Thank you. A senior member of the Brotherhood also announced that he would run for president as an independent in the election. He'll kill anybody on either side. It's up to you. Although, the problem with that one is the Islamist group said they would not field the candidate. But I guess they changed their mind, you know. There is a very good chance this heterogeneous, largely secular group that has eschewed violence could be very soon in charge of the most populous Arab nation and once again become Israel and America's worst nightmare. By the way, one more thing. As they give a big hug to the Muslim Brotherhood, I just want to remind you, this administration is currently selling brand new tanks to Egypt to bolster their military. Back in a minute. All right, this is going to blow your mind. Can you zoom in on this? There we go. Look at this thing. If you read Arabic, which I don't, then you'd know what it says, which I do. Muslim Brotherhood and their blueprint plan for America. It's wonderful. We have a copy of it, and it's really, really frightening. We have Eric Stackelbeck, who is here, one of our GBTV contributors, and been studying this. And I have to tell you, Eric, I look at this, this blueprint for America, and it is shocking that I have a copy of it. And here it says right here on the front, government exhibit. So the government has it. We got it from the government. Yeah. Here's the Muslim Brotherhood.
Absolutely.
Tell me about some of the things that it says in it.
Well, look, here's the overriding theme of it, Glenn. And remember, this is not, when you and I talk about the Muslim Brotherhood in America, it's not just us saying it. It's their own documents in their words that our government has in their possession. Glenn, in my mind, here is the money quote from these official Muslim Brotherhood documents, and I think we have a full screen of this. the Ikhwan, another name for the Muslim Brotherhood, must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers so that it is eliminated and God's religion, Islam, is made victorious over all other religions. Very moderate stuff, as you can see. But look, I think the key point here, Glenn,
hang on just a second. I'm looking at the audience. How could you have this? When did they find this document, Eric?
2004, 7 years ago.
2004. This isn't an ancient document. How could you be the National Intelligence Agency and go test in front of Congress and have this document? And how does the press? Come on. We're in a basement in a place in New York. I mean, geez, for the love of Pete. I mean, it's a startup network. How do we have this? And James Clapper tries to say something entirely different. This is saying wipe America off the map. But that's not all. Eric?
Yeah, Glenn, and we're talking a lot about, you and I lately have been talking about the growth of Islamic centers here in America. Now, in 2001, we had 1,200 mosques in America. Now, just 10 years later, that number has nearly doubled to over 2,000 mosques, including at Ground Zero very soon. Well, here's what the Muslim Brotherhood says about the role of the Islamic center, the mosque, in their plans for America. It says, the center we seek is one which constitutes the axis of our movement. Mosques are the axis of the Muslim Brotherhood's movement in America. They're saying it right here. The perimeter of the circle of our work, our balance center, the base for our rise in America. That's how the Muslim Brotherhood views mosques, Glenn. And I can tell you, I've talked to former federal agents who say, look, American mosques from coast to coast are heavily infiltrated by the Muslim Brotherhood. And Glenn, I've been in several American mosques, and I can tell you there is Muslim Brotherhood literature in these mosques in our country. Our mosques are thoroughly infiltrated. You can see why, as their own documents lay out, that is part of their strategy and a major part.
So, Eric, what is coming? What do you take from this? We're turning a blind eye. We have unrest in the streets now, all over the country. All of the network that we were. I'll show you the Wall Street connection here in a second. The network that we showed you, that I was called crazy for and everything, it's all being activated right now, and they're no longer even hiding it. They're no longer even hiding it. What's coming?
Glenn, this is what the Muslim Brotherhood wants to do, and I've investigated this from coast to coast in America, mosques in Europe, Islamic enclaves in Europe. Here is the plan for America. They want to establish Islamist enclaves inside America. Think Dearborn, Michigan, which are self-segregating. They segregate themselves inside those enclaves, where the Islamic center, the mosque, is really the centerpiece, the epicenter. Inside these Islamic enclaves in America, Sharia law is king. They are self-segregating. They don't march to the beat of the U.S. Constitution. They will march to the beat of Sharia. It is working to perfection in Europe, Glenn. You know this. You've talked about London, what's going on there. There are literally Islamist enclaves with Sharia courts in Great Britain. That is the goal for America.